units in units that are not compatible. Every time you have to check the vital signs, you have to go into the room. These are positive patients, you know? I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired. But you know what? I can't quit, so we keep going. I've had a lot of pivotal moments this last year where God really took some time to speak to me about certain things. Because I think I could have gotten swept away. I think I could have gotten, there's just so many alternatives that I think I could be today that I'm not. And so I think 2020 showed me the power in pursuing the Lord. One of my friends was like, God really must think highly of you to think that you can handle trauma like this. And I looked at him, I said, you know, that's a nice thought. So this morning I'm on my way to work and I didn't sleep well. You know, when worry kind of really sets into your system, it affects your sleep. So last night before I went to bed, I read 2nd Chronicles chapter 20, and it talked about Jehoshaphat being afraid to go into battle. But instead of like running or making a rash decision, he set himself to seek the Lord. So this morning when I woke up to a text message from my friend who said that she was feeling sick. And it just instantly hit me like, I need to seek the Lord for myself and those around me. So I just set out and I covered my family, my coworkers, my friends in prayer, so that every time I feel afraid, I gotta seek the Lord. I just love that scripture passage. I think I like the fact that the Bible put in that Jehoshaphat was afraid. And he saw the Lord as a place of, like, you know, he saw the Lord as a refuge, essentially. And I just was like, oof. I felt that. And I carried that with me throughout the entire year. When I felt discouraged, when I felt whatever, I knew that it was the praise. It was like bringing the presence of God back into the situation and seeking the Lord, not just for his hand, but seeking the Lord for who he is, really could change me in a way that I would be able to go to battle and endure whatever was coming. I remember my first COVID positive patient I took care of 1 week ago. And at that time, she was our only patient. But I remember at one point in my shift, she kept screaming, I think I'm dying. I feel like I'm dying. I feel like I'm burning from the inside. Please, can I just get a fan? And I said, well, I don't have a fan, but I could be the fan. I just held her hand. I put an ice pack on her head and her neck, and I just fanned her body. Internally, I was praying for her, you know? And in that moment, she calmed down. I held her hand, fanned her. That day challenged me, but I had no clue that 2 days later, our entire unit that only had one COVID positive patient would have 6, and the entire hospital would be flipped on its head. One thing about me with nursing is that it has made me a problem solver. So in that moment, I wasn't too panicked by it. It was after that when things started to blow up exponentially and we had to draw on our resources in a different way that I feel like then the palpitations began. So I thought I was doing okay, but the other night I woke up screaming. I was screaming in my sleep, rather. And my roommate had to come in and shake me and be like, are you okay? I have no clue what I was screaming about. I saw somebody with a mask in my sleep. All I remember, she said, I screamed so loud. Can you imagine? Like, I was screaming in my sleep. And it's only been a week and a couple of days. I remember the first week we had COVID patients. I think we only had 8 at that point. All 8 of them died. And it was just like this revolving door of death for the month of March going into April. And I'm like, that's not normal. If a nurse comes into a patient's room, and they're like, oh my gosh, the patient's not breathing, or the oxygen saturations drop, or their heart rate goes flatline, the first thing you do is you hit a code button. And that sets off that sound, code blue. Being in critical care for a while, you get used to all the alarms. Unfortunately, almost drown them out. But it's a sound that when you hear it, your heart is like, who's dying, you know? I remember one night shift, all 4 of these rooms, one after another, the patients kept crashing. The hearts kept stopping, you know, their oxygen saturations kept, going down. And all night, we just coded these 4 people. It started to make you feel defeated. Like, wow, I really can't give my best. Like, I'm trying, but there's only so much I can do. And I can see everybody around me is trying to give their best, and we're all feeling, in a part, defeated. I think a lot of people survive in healthcare because you separate it. You know, this is a patient. But in my head, I'm like, that was somebody's dad or somebody's uncle or somebody's spouse. You know, they kissed somebody the other day, and here their mouth was bloody and marred up because of being intubated. Or it's just a different experience. I have a patient that yesterday was her birthday. And I was just thinking about this woman is literally fighting for her life. And I talk to her daughter every day, and it just hit me like, I just don't want to see another patient die. I just feel a little heavy. We still have 120 patients on ventilators in my hospital. That's 120 people who are fighting for their lives, you know, and their lives matter. I just don't want to see another person die, right? Like, I want my patients to just get up like Lazarus and go back home to their families. And so I found myself laying hands on my patient and just praying for her and just asking God, I know I've prayed for other patients and they haven't made it, but if it be your will, let this woman get up and go back home. I remember her. I remember her daughter. And, I remember when she left my unit to this other COVID ICU unit. And I went to go see her. I was like, why does she look like this? You know, she didn't look like this when we were taking care of her. And I was like so worried. I was just like, I don't know if she's gonna make it. And then I remember my coworkers wrote me on Instagram. She's like, you know, Miss So-and-so is talking and she's still alive and she's in her right mind. I'm like screaming via text, like, oh my gosh, tell me more. I want to know all the details, what, you know. And I'm just like, wow, so even seeing this is kind of, if you don't have the 99, if you have the 1 to rejoice over, it's enough. When I go into work, I literally don't know what I'm stepping into. You know, we are taking care of people's parents, their loved ones, their brothers or sisters, and then it's just this pressure to like save them, knowing darn well I don't have the power to save them. I can just do what I can. I could just do my part. So there's just this fear of like, is this person gonna die today? Are they gonna die with me? Are they gonna code? And then just kind of fear of the stress, you know, the pressure. My roommate told me that, again, I've been screaming in my sleep, and it's just like this pressure, this fear, this anxiety to, I don't know, I guess of the unknown has just been a lot. And so I've just been trying to, through prayer, through scripture, convert that to courage. Like when I read Isaiah 41:10, I'm like, I can fear, but I don't have to let it consume me. Like, God is with me, period. It's just a fact, and I need to believe it. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. God has not given me a spirit of fear. You know, I have a sound mind. I have a spirit filled with peace in the midst of the storm because the creator of the universe is walking with me. And it sounds cliche, but that's what I have to constantly go over with myself to make sure that I'm able to function, right? Because I'm being the hands and feet of the Lord at this moment, and I can't freeze up. Oof.
Sorry, I didn't expect me to react to seeing myself like that, but oh, thank you. The anxiety that you can feel sometimes is just a lot, you know? It's just a lot because you are forced to rise to the occasion. And I think, I feel like what I'm saying here is like, you don't have a choice. When you go to work, you have to figure it out, and it's like that pressure it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, you cannot afford to mess up. You can't afford to choke up. I have somebody's mom. My decisions have such an impact. If I make a mistake, if I don't pick up on something, it's just a weight. And I could just feel when I'm saying this, like, man, I don't have a choice. So it's this need to laser focus in on your connection with the Lord to help drown out all the other stuff. Because if not, it will consume you. I know a lot of people who this experience has consumed them, it's eaten them up, and they're trying to dig themselves out now. And so I knew, like, that could be me if I don't have anchor. They were advertising crisis. And I was just like, Southwest Texas can't be worse than New York. I don't know what happened in October, but this area blew up. I remember talking to my manager, and I was like, hey, where are you going? She's like, I'm opening a COVID unit downstairs. I was like, Monday. By Thursday, they had opened 5. Now we're back in crisis mode again. And for almost 3 weeks, it was like hellish. It was just so stressful. It was just so stressful. And I could see the same panic. Everyone trying to figure it out. Everybody trying to make it work. It went into October, November, and it started to get just a little bit better in December. But for like 2.5 months, a lot of people were dying. And it just was traumatic. Like, I had some patients die, and those experiences, I am still trying to figure out why God had me go through them and what I'm supposed to do with them. I come into work and it's literally walking by faith. I have no clue what's gonna happen in my shift. I don't know if patient's gonna die or self-extubate or live or get discharged. I just don't know what's coming through the door. And I was talking to a coworker the other day, and we were just discussing it. Like, it really comes down to how much trauma can you handle? How much can you really go through? And what I've found is that a lot of nurses, to cope, they kind of have become a little jaded. When I had a patient die last week, I literally cried over his body. I laid in the room with just me and him, and I cried over his body, and nobody else flinched. Death still strikes a chord in me emotionally, and the question I'm asking myself is, how much more trauma can I handle? I talked to my godmom, and I was just telling her, I was like, I have all this grief and I don't know what to do with it. I have 20 names. I could tell you how everybody died. I could tell you about their families. I have all this grief and no one tells you what to do with it. You just keep coming to work, And I remember on that phone, she's like, I want you to name out every single person, and I want you to go ahead and cry. I don't want you to grieve. And I didn't think, I was just like, oh, this is some type of, what is this type of intervention? And then I did it, and I was sobbing. And she was like, go ahead and pray. She's like, go on and give it to the Lord and
there's power in the vulnerability. There's power in the exposing of the wounds. And when I think about Jesus openly put himself on a cross and exposed his wounds to us, there's power in that. And I have to be able to look at the parts of me that are broken and are marred and are hurt and are traumatized. And I have to allow the Lord to help make sure that I'm not staying in a state of brokenness, because I know that God's desire for me as his daughter is to be whole. When you go through the waters, God is with you, you will not drown. When you go through the fire, you will not be burned. And I feel my experiences in 2020 have just shown me that God is really anchoring me. I think the choice to be who I am today is probably the most profound part of 2020. I chose to be who I'm becoming. I can see who I could have been. Does that make sense? Like, I said no to certain decisions, things I could have done to escape the trauma, to the pain. Like, there was a person that I was tempted to be that I made a conscious decision not to be. And then this last year, I needed to be fully exposed before the Lord, because I didn't even know what to do with what I was feeling. The intimacy I had with the Lord this year is what kept me going, and I'm grateful for it. And without that, I could be in the psych ward, and I know it. You know what I mean? And so nothing, nothing is worth compromising my walk with the Lord. What I went through this year is I'm only here because of God's mercy. And I didn't want anything to jeopardize that, I didn't want anything to jeopardize it. And that is the fruit. I'm here because I made a choice. God, I'm gonna walk with you through the fire, and I believe by faith I'm not gonna